Hey guys, remember to like the video and hit subscribe.
But he didn't hit his girlfriend.
Okay.
Like, I don't even believe that. I think he's taking things that could have happened to other people and saying they're happening universally, but they're not even happening to him. They're happening sort of to him, and he's twisting it to make him sound provocative and interesting and clickable, but they're not even happening in his reality. He's just, and then when they don't go his way, he pulls back.
I don't think he ever does pull back though, does he?
I feel like he does.
I don't think there's a single opinion he's pulled back on.
He makes himself a savior in the end.
So well, no. I think the thing is,
he's like, I'm a villain, like all of us are, and then I'm like, okay, but we're not. Like, people can change. People don't have to be angry.
But I think the reason why he revels in some of that villainness is he doesn't see himself as a villain. He sees himself as like a martyr on a holy crusade. He's never actually the villain. He's only the villain because you don't understand them. He's only the villain because you haven't taken the time to fully understand his nuanced position for why he's actually correct. And really, whatever you thought about him, you're actually that times 10. Like, if you actually think Cuties the movie or his opinion on is bad, it's actually because you are in favor of like more children getting hurt because you don't want to bring attention to those issues of the movie, right? He'll find a way to make it so that like whatever issue you're talking about, you're the one. Like, if you think that his takes on consent are bad, you're actually probably the rapist because you don't understand how nuanced and complicated, blah, 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 blah. I don't think he's ever faking anything. I don't think he's doing like the contrarian thing. I think he genuinely believes what he's saying, but he's like this holy crusader in the middle of it all.
So you don't think there's any story he's ever told in which he is like fabricating any of the details?
To make him sound worse?
Or more interesting, more clickable, more like nuanced, deep, dark. I'm this deep, dark artist who suffered in a monster who's become a monster.
I don't think he's fabricating. I think he views it through a certain lens, and you might get a shade of like...
Is he fabricating the story about you and those girls?
Not really. When I say talking about the lens, descriptively, like what he's saying will be true, but the lens through which he views it is going to be the thing.
50% true, and then he twists it so it sounds like
I don't like to say that it's 50% true. So like, here are like statements that he might say. Okay, he might say that, oh, you sexted a lot of people, or you've had sex with a lot of people that have come through your stream. A lot of people that come through your stream have gotten like abused by chat, and a lot of those people you don't talk to anymore. None of that is false.
Right.
But the lens that he views it through is like, you're doing this because you're an evil manipulator who has a sadistic tendency to get off on people being abused.
But hasn't he said you explicitly have been using women and then using your power to kind of like decide if they're on stream or not? Are you doing that?
Well, I think that's what he's looking for evidence for.
But he's made the claim you're doing this. So I want to know, is it
if
true
I'm
that
being
he did this?
very fair to him, he didn't make that claim publicly. He's made that claim privately, and that's what he's digging for evidence of. And if he has made the claim privately, it's because of things that Anna has told him, which has come through Lav. I understand the difference of the disagreement, but I don't think that Max is the type of person to just make something up. I think he's the type of person to see what's happening.
He made up that I was a cult leader, that he thought I was a Nazi cult leader.
Again, nothing that he said was wrong. You do the calls, you do OnlyFans. It's his framing of it that's always different, right?
Okay, but the framing is it's just so political. It's basically like a lie. It's a lie by assumption. I understand what you're saying.
No, yeah, I would probably agree with that, right? Yeah, sure.
He's like playing this political game where he's making a statement without making a statement.
I would kind of agree with that, yeah.
I was going to say, it seems like Max is always trying to come off as the most insightful person.
Yes.
He always knows what everyone else is thinking. He always has the read. He knows what people are doing. And every time he goes on stream, he puts it out there and he can't back down, because that would just destroy whatever little credibility that he has. Instead of saying, okay, I'm wrong sometimes, he has to be perfect.
Yeah. Oh, I learned another rule also. I used to meme about this, but I'm doing this seriously in the future. Anybody that calls themselves an empath is going to be, I'm going to scrutinize the
Everyone is an empath.
Anybody
Being a sociopath is the rarity in society.
Sure.
Everyone has empathy.
Anybody that calls themselves an empath is getting the microscope.
It's fucking retarded. It's like saying that like you're human. You're basically just saying I'm a person.
Well, no, because when they say they're empath, what they mean is they have a special,
but it's
special
not
ability.
special. It's stupid to think it's special. That's where the silliness
comes in. Does it even exist? I've never even...
There are probably some people that are more empathetic than others, but every single person, everybody that here's the thing. If you are really empathetic, you would never go around saying it, because you would realize how stupid it makes you sound.
Like I'm an empath. Like I'm an empath.
Or it makes you sound like you're getting high off your own farts.
Yeah. Isn't empathy relating to another person's experience, having experienced something similar?
Kind of, but that's not how people use it anymore.
Because I understand sympathy as sympathizing, like having sympathetic feelings towards somebody else's experience that you can't necessarily understand.
I think empathy is supposed to mean that you, like, oftentimes you feel what another person feels because you've had a similar experience. But now people just use empathy to be like, oh, you can share feelings by just thinking about it. Honest to God, I feel like people today use empathy in more the way that sympathy actually means. Like, oh my God, like your parents died, I can be really sympathetic towards that. But empath and empathy sound better, even if your parents haven't died.
It is
crystal
I
shit.
think that's where it actually started, right? Like Tumblr girls being like, I'm an empath. It's funny though, I have a brother who's like really low in empathy but really high on sympathy, And so he's very logical, and he can definitely see that you're in pain, but he just doesn't ever relate to it. So he can act accordingly if I can explain it. But he's kind of like you when you're driving. He'll like purposely try to make me like get a migraine, or he'll like, you know, purposely try to like upset me as like a funny thing for him. Oh God.
His outfit.
Wait. Oh my God.
Someone
Did
said-
that just happen?
Someone's been spamming that I look like a Nintendo Switch. Which is fair.
That's pretty funny.
I'll take that.
The cringiest thing ever, or finish what you were saying. Your brother.
Well,
goes,
I'm
yeah.
just saying that everyone is different, but I think that like if you have lower empathy, you just maybe have a hard time understanding the emotionality of why someone feels a way. But if you explain it, you can get it. I mean, people aren't stupid.
Yeah.
Well,
Most people. The cringiest moment I think that was when Lav and Max were talking to each other on stream, and they were like, I think Lav was saying like, I wish I didn't have the burden of knowing how everyone else around me feels all the time. It's so much to deal with. And Max is like, no, we need to accept that we have these gifts. Like, it's good. Like, we want to be able to feel everything. And she's like, it's a burden sometimes. And I'm like, oh my God.
yeah, I think it's just like not to use that word, but I think it's just like a kind of narcissism 101.
Yep.
They pretend like they're super understanding and they're the only ones who get it, and everyone else is like stupid children and they need to take care of them. And yeah.
Part of it is being Jewish. They said that too.
Oh, I think Max told me he's not even that Jewish. That's what Max told me.
Uh-oh.
Listen, I just want to reel you guys
Great.
back a little bit.
Love it.
I feel like there was a big break in his content between the early stuff and the late stuff. Like, the early stuff, his whole shtick on the YouTube stuff before he became a streamer was that he would take a really treacherous path to make like a really mundane conclusion.
Yeah.
He paints himself out to be the enemy, but then the conclusion is like, you would do this too, and this is like actually not a bad thing to do. Like, I don't think it's fair to call him a racist. The whole point of that video was that like, even when non-consent is verbal, you can have like non-verbal consent that like flips
Yeah,
the
but
script
this
over.
is why I would call him a racist, is because I don't think Mr. Girl can empathize with anybody. I actually don't think he knows what other people are feeling. So if he's having sex with a woman and she says no, he is the last person in the world that should be trying to mind read, because he's gotten it so wrong so many times and nothing can convince him that he's wrong.
This is kind of a stretch. He said the chick called him back and like wanted to go on another date.
It's so hold
Okay,
on.
I'll say this. So
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
It looks bad if you say it.
Wait, what? Stop. No, now I will say it. Hold on. Okay? Having an adverse experience with somebody doesn't preclude them calling you back in the future. You can do rapey things with people. Like, there are women that stay in physically abusive relationships for their entire life, okay? There's a lot of sexually improper things you can do. And there's a lot of like rapey experiences you can put somebody through, and they'll still like at the end, we'll have a good. Like, there are guys that come when they're getting raped. There are women that have orgasms when they're getting raped. Like, I don't think that them calling back is any type of indication that like there wasn't some improper activity that happened.
And if what you're saying is true, that would mean that when Lav called back her alleged rape after he forced her to eat his ass, and we went on multiple more dates.
You don't know
That
this
mean-
woman. You don't even know she exists. Like, you don't know how the situation even played out.
Guys,
You're
don't
fucking
laugh.
calling him a racist.
Wait,
Come
what?
on, man. Like, his accusations towards you were unfair, but this is pretty unfair, don't you think?
No, I don't. If any other person, Supreme, if any other person was describing that situation, what would you say?
I would say exactly what I said for Max. I get it. I get the point that, like, you know, she said no. He says she shot me a look, like daring me to do it, and I went and did it, or whatever the fuck.
And she was
then they
naked on
had
top of him.
And then they had sex, and he doesn't describe that she tried pushing him off or said no, I said no, or anything like that. And
I feel like calling
apparently
him a
she called
rapist is a
back.
little far.
Okay, I have a wildly different notion of consent than everyone else in here, I guess. I don't know.
Here's what I think he does. I think he manipulates situations to get what he wants, but he also twists it to make him sound interesting.
Sure.
Because consent is new.
I just feel like when it comes to situations, like, it's so easy to put the brakes on things. Like, if somebody if somebody feels uncomfortable, like, it's so easy to just like chill. Yeah, you can chill for a little bit.
I disagree that it's super easy, but I agree with Destiny that he doesn't seem like a likely person to respect boundaries in that regards, and so I understand.
Yeah,
what you're
but
saying.
okay.
But I think it's a stretch to go from there to saying he is
To calling
that.
him a rapist.
I think that would be the stretch. That
Okay,
I
he's rapiest.
I think.
Yeah, I think
even-
that's
man.
clear.
Here's what I think. I think even in this situation where they're being completely uncharitable to you, in fact, they're going the extra mile, where they're being disingenuous and doing all this other stuff. I don't think your response to that is to be the least charitable possible.
It's not. No, wait. To be clear, wait. I'm not being the least charitable. I'm giving like that would be like the normal read.
I don't think it's a normal read.
It is a normal read.
I don't think it's a normal read.
She said no, and I fucked her anyway. The normal read
No.
is that's really rapey, basically rape, if not actually rape. The charitable read is I understand that consent can be complicated, and maybe she said no, but that's a charitable read. The normal read is like, oh, she said no, and you continue to fuck her.
Is that the entire
No,
context
she
of
said
their?
no. And then
I'm sorry. The context was
says-
she gave him a look.
She shot him a look that made him think she wanted him to go for it, and then he did,
Wait, no.
and they had-
Wait. Let's be clear. She shot him a look that made him think she wanted him to go
You're
for
right.
it. Yeah.
And he rolled the dice. That's his whole thing, right? But then what happened? They had sex. She never said, "Hey, I actually really meant no." She called him again for another date, and this is all according to him anyway.
Yeah. If I'm reading that, I wouldn't immediately go to rapist person.
I think most people would be like,
But
It
I
might
think it's
sound
bullshit
iffy.
that he
Wait,
called
let's-
you rapey for
let's-
flirting with him.
Let's
That's the point. That's the hypocrisy.
well, okay, hold on. We got a clip from we have a clip from chat.
Damn. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Story. A couple of years ago, I matched with a woman on Tinder. I say woman because she was 46. Anyway, we got frozen yogurt. She came over. We got naked. I got naked. Then we both got naked. We started making out. This kind of makes me anxious, so I don't like a ton of foreplay. To me, it should be like tearing off a Band-Aid, right? I'm trying to be patient. Finally, I get her on top of me. I put my dick in place, like right at her vagina, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. She holds perfectly still and says, I'm not ready. Clear as day, no mistaking her meaning. She doesn't consent. But she has this look in her eye, like she's daring me to just push it in. Like I'm some kind of pussy if I don't. I could have been imagining that, but I grabbed her shoulders and pushed her down onto my dick. Did she like that I did that? I think so. She probably had mixed feelings about it. Was it? Yes, I guess. I don't know. She told me not to, and I did it anyway. That makes it rape. Did the cops show up later? No. Did she want to meet up again? Yeah. Does that mean it's not rape? No. It's rape. But I don't feel bad about it.
Okay. I'm not gonna.
That's some
hold
level
on,
5
hold on.
introspection right there,
Hold
bro.
on.
Okay.
I'm not gonna defend the man for himself. If he called it that, then you gotta hold that.
What if he's wrong? What if the whole his whole
Oh my! I wish you guys gave me this much
No,
charity.
to be
I
fair-
wish you guys gave me
be
this
fair,
much
I
charity. I
fucking
hate you
do.
all.
Hold
I
on,
hate
hold
all
on.
of you.
To be fair to Supreme, had he not said that portion at the end, I think there's ways you could look at that it's not that kind of
His
situation.
whole shtick is vice signaling, is making himself out to be a bad guy, but then saying like this is a normal thing. It's a treacherous path to a mundane conclusion. I found a fucking 14-year-old
You're right, Cherry.
that was dressed sexy hot. The whole point is that like we shouldn't
That was
sexualize
a lot.
children because it can
Okay.
work.
Hold up. Do you think that, do you think
That's
that's
a fucking
smart?
point.
clip. That was wild.
I think he
do
is
we
smart,
think
yeah.
that's a smart?
Yeah.
So do we think a smart man got on the internet and admitted to a fucking like rape?
Careful.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Careful.
Yeah, I think
okay? The problem with narcissism is the narcissism
Look at the psychologist
Wait,
right here.
stop.
Our
Okay,
psychologist-
Stop! No, hold
Did
on.
we not all watch that video with Shaylin? Do I think he would self-admit that? Absolutely. What's
Yes, thank you. But let me finish.
What's he edit that?
Fuck you.
Let me talk. I want to
Shut up.
answer her
Hold on,
question.
I can tell you to shut up. Not you.
I actually can. This is my apartment. Fuck you, bitch.
He openly admitted he wanted to turn his girlfriend into like a lifeless sex doll, even when she was crying. Edit
True,
that and put
yes.
it out. If you don't think he would do something as crazy as that, then you are bugged.
Okay, wait. And also, let me finish. You made it directly to me. He cut me off.
Let me say that.
He cut me off. I don't
Stop,
care.
stop.
Let me just
Go ahead.
respond to
Go
her.
ahead and you go.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. You asked me about his intelligence. He's smart. I said yes, but I would put his intelligence below his narcissism. And you go, oh, look at the psychoanalysis in here. The reason why I would say that is because I can see that when he is confronted with the decision that either has to appease his narcissism or his intelligence, he will always take the narcissistic route. A good example of that would be his bridge with me. He very clearly could have just been like, okay, well, Dusty, I'm not going to say anything about this particular thing here that I disagree with because he gives me a huge platform. I've got huge access to his Discord. I have like the ability to grow like I will never have for the rest of my life. But he didn't choose that. That would have been the smart route. Instead, he said, I'm on a holy crusade against this guy who I think is an abuser rapist, or a serial abuser or whatever, right? So I do think he is more narcissistic than he is intelligent. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
when
that could be true.
when we talked about these things and you brought me on and I made statements like Max feels dangerous, Max hit his girlfriend in the past, Max might hit me. Max was like, Brittany's so stupid, I wouldn't hit her. I don't even date Brittany. I only hit girls I date, right? You brought me on, you tried to tell me that at that moment Max was some sort of stable person who was a little provocative, right? I'm saying you only changed your mind on him when he went at you, but other people were warning you already.
Okay, this is not true. What I had before was an open potential. What I would say is I'll explain. When you would come on, I would explain to you, if you're taking Max at his best faith, this is what he means. But the only reason why I kind of worked as a Max translator is because I would tell Max, when you say these things, this is what 99% of people are going to assume. Like when you say
Why
things
are you
like,
assuming it now? What changed? He
because
went
I've
after
seen
you.
more actions.
But we've all seen it. We knew it was coming. That's what I'm saying. You're the only person who's like, Max is kind of fucked up. And I'm like, bro, we all told you.
But that's because you got creepy vibes.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, what were the actions?
Well, the actions towards me, like making the psychological, like, Brittany's a Nazi co-leader, Brittany's a what evidence? minutes, bro. And then he sat there and kept going after women, and women kept going, I'm not gonna talk to
But
Max.
I changed my mind on the women thing. After seeing him associate with enough women, this is way before he backstabbed me, I said, I think you're actually misogynistic. And I said that a lot on stream.
You said
where
that. You said it to me
I
too.
did,
Okay.
yeah,
No,
I did
no,
say
no,
that.
he
You
said
want
it in
to
public. He said it
I said it publicly. I said, hold on, Max, yeah, you hate women. Because every time you argue with a woman, okay, but also, the thing with you being a Nazi cult leader, there is stuff that you can put together, not the Nazi
But
cult leader.
why about me and not
Oh,
about
I'm not going to get
Max?
to finish? I'm sorry. Am I not going to get to
Well,
finish?
you can finish.
Okay. There was stuff to put together to where if you do an OnlyFans and you take calls from people, there is a potential for abuse there. Now, I don't think that's 100%. I think he probably went too far, which is why I defended you through all of it. I said you're probably too far. But that's like a thing where I think a normal person could look at it and go like, okay, sure, there might be a potential for abuse there. I don't think that that's the same as like the level he's on now where I'm a abuser. I wish I had examples besides me, but even like the Dr. K thing, that was a huge arc that he went on his own, which seemed a little bit unhinged, but I think there was a large amount of criticism there that you could give to somebody like Dr. K, especially what was the fact that Reckfeld said he was suicidal before he actually killed himself, and he knew that. So I think that he has gone on other unhinged arcs in the past, but for most of those, he's like, okay, I kind of see what you're saying there, I kind of see what you're saying here, maybe, yeah, sure, I can kind of buy this, but like at some point, there's got to be enough actions, and the one that really started to sell it to me was even before he backstabbed me, it was on the unhinged subreddit arc. We had made 700 posts on my sub in 2 months. Like that was already enough to start to solidify. That was before any weird assault shit came out. But then once that came out too, then I was like, okay, well this is obviously super fucked. Either of you.
I want you guys to
Oh,
entertain
the Stardust stuff was really fucked as well, and I did say that too. That he would, for Stardust and Cherry, and I did say this on stream, when he was talking to Stardust and Cherry, he would say things like, you guys are too emotionally compromised because you've been raped in the past or whatever to be able to talk intelligently about consent. I think I said on stream, that was really fucked up because my charitability was starting to run really, really, really dry for him. Okay.
Supreme wants to
Go ahead.
I just want you guys to entertain something. I think Max had a turn. I think like his shtick before he became a streamer was this vice signaling where he sort of like really enjoyed people seeing him as a villain but then making mundane points. Like through these stories of making himself out to be a villain. But then once he had a community behind him and he started to be a leader of a community and like people gassing him up and seeing him as this sort of like messianic figure, I think that's when we started to see like sanctimonious Max and him going out like on these moral crusades after moral crusades.
I disagree because of here. This is another thing that screams narcissism to me. Is Abba pointed out some of the videos that he put out with Shaylin. If you're willing to put out stuff that 99% of people are looking to be like, okay, this is fucked, but you obviously think you're in the right, I feel like that's an indication of like you're really full of yourself. Because some of those videos with Shaylin, and these were
Okay, that was
older
after he
videos,
became
and there was
streamer.
one video we watched of him like screaming at her, I think in a parking lot or something, and I'm like, that's pretty yikes, dude. Like,
Yes.
I think this is part of the internet feedback loop where once you get positive reinforcement for doing something different, then you are encouraged and incentivized to do it again because you think you're doing something right. You're getting
Yeah,
this
that's
far.
true, but-
so for him, for example, revealing dark truths about himself that nobody else would reveal about themselves and saying things that make people deeply uncomfortable, but about himself that look terrible in the public eye. He's received a lot of positive. He's so brave. He's willing to go where no other artist would. He's saying the things that nobody else would say, and so you're encouraged to constantly go through that.
I
So
agree.
and that speaks to why he would admit to what he admitted
Right.
to on stream, and it also speaks to why he would do that without it necessarily being narcissism.
I agree with what you're. I agree that could be a potential, but the counter I would put is that he was doing things like that Shaylin video thing. That was before I think he ever blew up on the internet. Like, I feel like he's willing to put shit out, the one with him screaming on the car in the parking lot or whatever. He's willing to put stuff out there like that because I don't think he actually thinks he's doing anything wrong. I think he thinks he's 100% in the right
I
on
would
all of that.
suspect that even the women in his life have liked him because he's willing to say it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a manic pixie dream boy
Okay,
personality,
so,
100%.
So if that's the case, and that's just his MO, so even when he came online, it just became more of that. I know weirdos
For
like
sure.
that who like if they meet people who get off on them doing weird stuff. So it's not even about whether he blew up on the internet or not. What's his life experience been like?
yeah,
So-
I'm sure.
Well, doesn't it feel kind of honest? Like the way he says things almost feels like, oh, this man's gonna be so honest with me because he says the most like dark thoughts out loud. You disagree?
Yes, that's
No, I
literally
disagree.
the feedback you
I
get.
don't think he's an honest person.
No, no, no.
No,
I
he's
didn't
not,
say
but
that.
you can
But
see why people feel that way.
think-
I could see why people think that, but that's never the vibe I got.
So refreshing. What a breath of fresh air. That's what everybody says.
Yeah, yeah.
There's that and the,
that was always so cringe to me.
I think I said this too on stream that like this triggers a lot of people, but if somebody is very quickly and easily very emotional, I almost always, in my mind, I wouldn't say this publicly before, but now I'm going to be more public with it. I think that that person is always a manipulator. If you are very quick to be very emotional, I think you almost always are. Because if you can do it on two sides, you can either do it where you're actually very emotional, you're like crying or whatever. It's a very easy way to get people to agree and stop attacking you and backing off. Or you can do like kind of the fake vulnerability that Max does, where people feel like you're being like very vulnerable and very like open and, you know, raw. But in reality, you're actually very much like Max does a lot of things on stream where he's like, almost crying, then he's very much in control. He's not like overly emotional.
Wait,
Like he's very
you
much like
can't-
thinking.
You can't imply that to everyone though.
I said if you're quick to do it. If you're quick to do it, I will. Yeah, I will apply it to every single person. Because if you are really emotional, you know that, you should remove yourself from a situation for a little bit before continuing the conversation. Because it's a form of manipulation to be having serious conversations where you are emotionally compromised. Because the other person can't like reasonably discuss things with you. Because they're always going to feel like they're held prisoner by your tears.
I just feel like your stream though is a collection of people who are so emotionally triggered quickly. They just start yelling and screaming, and so that would.
This
eliminate
applies to
everyone
real
on
life
your-
people too.
But that would eliminate everyone on your panel. You don't actually think that. You
I don't
engage
think,
fine.
Let's say that you talk to someone for the first time too, and you get into an argument, and the person gets really emotional. I don't think that person that is not being emotional should like attack them and say, "You're just doing this to manipulate."
I never
Like,
said. Hold on.
But no, but I feel like when you say that, I think that people could do that. and
Nope,
take
I'll
it
qualify this 50
Okay,
million more
good.
times if I need to. If you
Good.
get into a serious argument, there are times when people are going to be emotional. I never said you can never be emotional, and I never said it's wrong to
Maybe
be
you shouldn't
emotional.
use it
What I said
towards-
almost verbatim, I said if you're quick to get very emotional, oftentimes in discussions, I think that's a manipulator tactic.
I don't disagree with that. I think if that's
Especially if
always
you're like a
your
40-year-old
way of
man.
engaging with people and you see that pattern every single time.
Yes.
People being
That's-
if people being
pattern, yeah.
charitable,
That's what you think
uncharitable,
quick to do it
patience.
oftentimes means.
Yeah.
It's a pattern.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could
fine.
pretty much predict how every Max conversation was going to go, which is why like it was annoying for a lot of viewers to watch him after time. Because the first few times you're like, okay, and then it's every time, irrespective of who the guest is, like I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
listen.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
do you think like when Max was talking to Shaylin and that the doll review thing, and she got really emotional? Do you think she was trying to manipulate him, or do you think?
What
she
do you
got
think based
frustrated?
on what I just said? What do you think?
No, I'm asking you.
No, I don't think Shaylin is quick to emotion. She was put in an extreme
No,
situation.
But that's something that Max would say, right?
What?
Max would.
Max is,
I
but
think
Max
he
is
was saying
autistic or
Yeah.
like
He
narcissistic.
did
that. Or he
call
was
it
trying to,
manipulative.
like,
Yeah, no. Shaylin, in that sense, like, yeah, obviously she's going to feel very emotionally compromised. There's a guy that's like being fucking insane in front of her.
I know if I put out that video about my girlfriend, there's no way a single fan would say it. And rightfully so. Like,
Wait, there's no way. What did you say? There's no way a single.
There's no way a single fan would say
Oh, yeah, exactly.
There's not a chance.
Or anything like that leaked of like me and Melina.
Well,
of
it's
me,
just like the idea,
yeah.
like, hey, I need you to protect me online. You manipulative whore.
Yeah. Or Melina's crying and she's like, "You're not going to post this online, right?"
I will say what
And
makes,
people are watching it on YouTube.
I will say what makes Max
What the
distinctly
hell?
different than anyone I've ever seen you interact with is like I feel like he's fully capable of like actual violence.
Well, he is.
If he
in
felt-
the
if
past,
he-
he has been.
Oh
No,
yeah,
no,
because
no,
he
no,
hit that. He hit a girl because she asked him to go to his stepfather's. I don't want to
I
get
don't
this wrong.
remember the
Fuck.
details, but
What
I
was
just know he
it?
hit his
But
girlfriend.
I used to come on
Somebody in
first
chat
time,
was
the first time I saw him, I used to come on street and say like, "Oh, he's a cannibal," right? And people thought it was like a crazy comment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But 100%, I could definitely see like a news flash of like in the future and like Steven's been eaten, and like immediately I would know it's Max.
Low tier God, thank you for the donate, dude. You don't have to donate to me. You're a cool dude. I feel bad. Don't.
No, shout out. You defended him when no one else would.
You're just manipulating him to do.
Yeah,
it
but
more.
also low tier God, I love you, but you're next up on the docket for like new crazy people. Okay, so we'll see what happens. I like where he's at right now, though. We'll see how it goes.
I don't think he's on the docket.
You don't think so?
I
He's
think-
over that phase.
No, that's not the kind of vibe here. Like, Lotier, I think, just has his set views and he doesn't mind getting a tad bit toxic online by a lot of people's definitions.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, I don't think a lot of people wouldn't engage in the behavior that Max does out of pure self-preservation.
Sure.
So like they're going the extra mile, the contacting every news organization, talking to all your ex. That is like somebody who has like no sense of self. Like to me, that's just
Literally, how does he not think the journalists are going to look into who the fuck he is and then find out, oh, bro, you have all these.
That's what he
like,
did to Dr. K.
I think that's actually what keeps a lot of conflict from going anywhere is self-preservation. People understand like this is like a network
Yeah, of course,
thing.
yeah.
So like there's no reason for me to engage in.
Why don't you think Max knows that? Is he lacking introspection or intelligence?
I think that
No, this is insane.
I'm gonna borrow a quote from a friend. I won't say who said this. Oh, actually, I was gonna say you said it, but I think Melina said it.
Who
Were you the
was
one
it?
that said that Max is probably a true level 1? Did you say that or did you say that?
I mean, I do think Max is a 1, but maybe.
I don't think he can introspect at all because here's the thing, right? Introspection implies, in my opinion, introspection is something that you do in order to grow. But if you're perfect, you don't need to grow. And if you're truly narcissistic, why would you need to introspect? There's no reason to. You're already like perfect.
What is it?
Do you know the Wi-Fi here?
Oh.
That's
Do you think that narcissism allows him not to be a 1 because he's just suffering from a mental illness? Do you think it's the narcissism that makes him suffer?
I don't
Do you
believe
think
in like
Max-
I don't do like the level system 1 through 5, but I'm saying if you do a level system in terms of ability to introspect,
Right.
I think he's probably, based on the articles I've seen and everything, I could be wrong, but isn't Max the exact same person who was 15 years ago?
All right, you guys are spending too much time just shitting on this guy. I will say, dude was unbelievable at controlling conversations. I remember there was a bunch I remember there was one time Dan was here. I think Dan is one who retorted it. But when they were doing like a 2v1 against you, it was Max and Laugh. And I think he brought up this argument about the fact that he would never do something, or he would never say something so mean to somebody. And then Dan comes in, he's like, well, that's not true. What did you say, Dan? Dan, do you remember what you said?
I was asking him, if he would kill Hitler, right? Or something?
No, you kind of relate to Mr. Girl the fact that he does things that are just as mean or malintentioned as what Destiny would say.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, what's the example? What's the example?
What was the example?
Hold on. Just wait. Chat is going to remember because I halfway remember.
It was so good. And then I remember, and he said, no, we're not talking about me. We're done talking about me. And he just moved on from the subject. But like, it was such a focal point because it showed his own hypocrisy when it comes to stuff. And then he just managed to control the conversation and just move it straight on without taking any accountability. It was about No, it wasn't Stardust. Okay, doesn't matter. But all this to say, I will say he was very good at that. And I was actually super impressed with his ability to do that. Even if it was used to escape accountability for things he would say, it was...
Here's what Max should have done. If he wanted to combine all of his talents and take me down, he should have made a diss track about me with a sick-ass music video.
Yo,
Wait, he
that would have
told
been good. Where would he have posted it?
I don't know, but
Nobody
it
would
would
have
have
watched
been...
it because the loser's off YouTube.
Rumble!
He told me he was making a song.
All we need to know
Well,
is
okay.
that I was the
you
one
think he
who
was, though?
Yes, you brought up a good
outmaxed
point.
him.
Yes,
There you go.
yes. He said to Stardust, you're emotionally compromised and you cannot have this conversation.
Yes, he did. He said, I think he said that to Cherry as well, yeah.
That was so wild.
Yeah, damn. Oh, and that was in the middle of Stardust saying, these are the types of boundaries that I put up because I've been raked before, and I put these boundaries up. And Max is like, when you put those boundaries up, it makes me feel like I'm playing a game.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It was someone that conversation was so stupid. Like, it's perfectly sensible for a woman to say, I'm not ready for sex. These are my boundaries, whatever. And this person's like, you're controlling.
Yeah. Oh, also, I really like now, it's really funny that a few months ago, Shaylin isn't involved in online stuff because he doesn't want her to be. And
right.
but now, wow,
Right.
he's wheeling
Oh,
her
she's
out.
a star.
She's a
coming up
star.
with my
Doing
Twitter
interviews on
recommendations.
Logic. She's on Twitter constantly now. She's drawing pictures of their new
Oh,
family.
yeah.
She's consoling Lav behind the scenes as part of their new cult. Like, yeah, that's very interesting that she's very involved now. But
So can we make a prediction? What's your prediction, Steven, on Lav's
I think-
chance of begging for forgiveness in like a month?
my guess is in 2 to 3 months, what I said was Lav is going to have a disagreement with Max over something because she is opinionated, even if she's like malleable. And she's going to realize when she has a disagreement, she's going to think she's safe to do it, but there's going to be a disagreement. He's going to not budge at all. She's going to get increasingly aggravated. She's going to realize, oh, shit, he is a crazy narcissist. And then I don't know if she'll come back to me. If she might be too prideful.
Do you
but
want her to come back?
not really. It would take
Are
a
you going to
lot.
accept her?
It would take a lot of apologizing. Okay.
What kind of apologizing?
You don't even care about apologies.
You don't even
The
care
problem
about
is that like
apologies.
there would have to be some exceptional because
So
the
you just
issue
want
is
her
that
to
like she's
suffer.
talked an unbelievable amount of shit to me to strangers in her Discord and DMs, like an unbelievable amount.
And also other people's stuff to you. And
Yeah,
to
and
other
she's like
people.
twisted a lot of her, and she's like a
She
serial
was
like.
also talking you before you even
Sure.
like started.
Yeah,
talking
but that
to
We're
was
done, right?
that
We're
was
gonna
less
block her.
personal. I didn't
She's
care as
never
much about
coming
that.
back. That's
Yeah,
it.
Probably,
but it
yeah.
still is like a warning flag right there. And then she also has a past like
Of
with
making,
other
like, bullshit
communities-
accusations
in
to
other
people, so-
communities. Yeah, it's
She would have to
basically
come back
just
as like I did
that
like 12
person.
months at like a Catholic monastery, and now I'm like.
You know what? This is probably where I'm going to defend
Reform.
that. I don't even care about none of that stuff. I just hate every time she's on stream. It's always like, laugh. I just, I don't want to hear her. You know what I mean?
Based.
I don't care about none of the other stuff. She can suck
No,
Mr.
at this
Girl's
point, she's
dick
a
and write
liability.
together. I don't really care. It's just every time she's on stream, everybody gets so annoyed.
If you bring Lav back,
But I think he thinks she's a good guest, so I think that's
She
fine.
absolutely is a good guy. If I brought Lav online right now, we'd have 20,000 viewers.
fuck.
I don't think so.
Well,
I think
you
if you brought her
wanna
on
be
right
that
now,
streamer?
you wouldn't get grow by more than 1,000.
If what? If Lav came on right now?
13,000. That's the max.
It's gonna happen. He's gonna do it right now.
No, I'm absolutely not. F that bitch. No. We had that conversation we had offline that you listened. I didn't record it, but you listened to me talk to her.
Yeah.
She said I gaslit her for the entire conversation.
Gaslit her?
Oh really?
Was
Wait,
lying
I
to her
don't
the whole time.
understand why you didn't record it. I was like, I texted you. I was like, are you recording this?
No,
or what?
I was lazy. Because I don't want to fight with them anymore. I was like, just I don't care.
Yeah, but still, who knows?
Do you record our conversations?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Max. I wasn't gonna call you Max.
Wow. Don't worry. It's really common to like.
Actually, it would be like a Max thing to do, I guess.
One of the things that's really funny is that when you're more than 2 levels off of somebody, you start to see them all as the same. So like for you, a level 3, you see all level 1s as the same, and you see all level 5s as the same. So like I'm just like in your head is the same as like every other level 5.
Okay.
But that's okay. No, I don't record our conversations.
Do you find it annoying that people are trying to like counsel you on better choosing your friends or better managing your relationships to some degree?
Yeah. No, I don't mind to some extent because it's always good to collect feedback. Because what'll happen is, generally what happens is my life will run until I hit a brick wall or something fucked up will happen. And then when the fucked up thing happens, a couple things happen. One is I'll look at how I acted in a situation. Right. 2, I'll look at how the people around me acted. And then 3, I'll look at like what all the people around me said. And then I'll kind of like factor all of that into like the next thing. And then once a few of those things have come up, then I start to build on certain patterns. So like, let's say it's the case that 3 or 4 times in a row, there's like some people that are me over and I'm not even growing and it's me up, and every single time there's like 4 or 5 friends around me, they're like, oh, stay away, oh, stay away, oh, stay away. Then at some point I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna start factoring in this more or whatever. But I mean, like, it's just the irritating.
How many times does it actually take for like several people that's close
Well,
to
the
you
problem is that I have to do a lot of work to factor in criticisms from other people, because most of the criticisms that people give me don't apply directly. I have to work to direct them.
You have to figure out if they can benefit from the thing.
Because a lot of you guys will give me criticism saying that like, oh, like this is going to make you unhappy, this is going to blah. It's like, no, it won't, or whatever. But like there are some legitimate criticisms, like it could have a negative blowback on your business in the future, which is possible. Or like it could have a blowback on people around you, which is also probably true. So there'd be like those types of criticisms.
Oh, that's like my criticism.
Yeah, no, but you also believe the main criticism
one.
that you believe are also like erudite and other people, where you're like, oh, I think that Steven is like deeply unhappy. Brittany, finally.
Wait, I never.
Brittany finally saw me off stream, and Brittany finally knows now, I think, where she's like, you trust that I'm not like miserable or horrible about all this shit going on. Like,
no, you're a
behind the scenes.
masochist
Thank
who
you.
loves
Okay.
to be beaten up,
Yes.
and you love crying women and men, and you
Yes.
hope that they
Thank
always
you.
come to you and on you
Yeah.
and all those
Based.
things.
Thank you.
Hey, do you know what you just did there?
What?
You gave me a criticism. I was like, oh, you heard what I said because I care about you, and then you were like, oh, but you also said this other thing. I'm like, I didn't say it. We're talking about this one thing, right?
You want me to give you props when you're criticizing me?
No, you were criticizing me. No, that.
You were talking about your criticism of me.
No, you were saying like I can take this.
Oh,
as
yeah, I
an
can take some
advice. And I'm
criticisms.
like,
yeah.
Yeah. And
But
I
the
thought,
main
oh,
thing
that's
that
nice
you
of
and Erudite, the last time you guys were here, you
But
were screaming at me.
we're not talking about that. We're
Okay.
talking about this specific
Thank you
thing.
for your
But you're gonna
criticism.
bring up something else to shit on me. That's
No,
what
I'm not
you're
bringing up the
doing.
shit on you
That's
because
exactly
that's your
what you
main
just did.
criticism. The post in my subreddit and the things people saying, and the message you sent me even earlier was about like, let's get therapy. We need to save you.
I think he has like a gripe.
I think we should go to therapy together.
What's
That's
that?
what I'm saying.
I think he has a gripe with like Erudite's criticism, and then I think maybe yours similarly, where he feels like you guys are concerned about the idea that he may not be happy. He rejects that notion.
Yeah, but it's very like I
I
understand
think
why.
it's the same
I think
advice.
you're-
It's the same advice that you're probably giving as her, but I think he feels like it's just coming from
No,
a
the
different
advice
place.
right now, I think he's super happy because he's having everything. But I think if he keeps going in a certain direction, he might lose the things that actually makes him happy.
Like
That's-
what?
that's
like
my-
what?
Like Melina and Dan, we're gone. We're out of here.
Because he's actually legit scared of things that he does sometimes, and for
Fair.
me, it's a lot of shit for me to deal with, like being with him. And when he increases like the crazy,
You mean like when he's
I
getting
get
these like
tired.
Twitter dramas or like not Twitter, but like actual like people like making these allegations? Like is it
yeah,
a
of
toll
course
on
it
you?
affects me too.
Okay.
Yes, and no one really ever talks about that, but it does. It
Yeah.
does affect me.
Yeah.
So I'm telling him.
That's actually a good point because
Yes,
even
you
though
will-
you're
you will
resilient,
lose
the people
certain
that you
things
care
in your
about
life.
you probably are actually more.
That's why you have
terrified.
to be Batman. When I do drama, I need to put on a mask.
Yeah, you would need to. But do you ever take that into consideration?
A little bit, but usually
you're
the goal
more
is to-
resilient, and I actually don't care that your fans get upset because at the end of the day, that's a right to. But the people,
people
you
that are
choose to
close
have in
to
your
you,
life,
yes.
like me, like, you're a grown man. If you want to go fuck up some stuff, go fuck it up. But for someone who's actually dating you, or maybe even family members, like I don't know if that's actually the situation. I can see how that would be a terrifying thing for them.
Yeah, but the goal is to surround
decide
myself
what's
with people that are really resilient. And if people don't have a certain level of resiliency, they probably can't get like to a certain closeness of me. Like resiliency is like one of the primary things I choose for when it comes to like close friends and shit, I think.
Yeah.
Sure,
but I would
but-
say that
yeah.
like even me and Dan putting up with the things that we're putting up with is still pretty like far out there compared to most people.
Yeah.
You've had us for a long time too. You can't just find someone that you just have a history with just like that. So like you have to like balance that out or figure that out. That's why I'm saying.
Do you acknowledge that? Like there is a certain level of
I
resiliency.
acknowledge it, but when she says that, she's not really saying that. What she's saying is you're too crazy, you need to pull it back because I'm not comfortable with it. That's what she's saying.
But no, but that's exactly what I'm understanding, which is like to a degree somewhat.
Well, sure, but
fair,
then
because she's saying like we've already met a pretty solid threshold for resilience, which I would argue
Yeah,
if
they
my
do.
significant other was involved in a lot of stuff that you're talking about, I'm very resilient. I would still feel like that's a lot, and you probably should pull it back because I'm like that is a lot. And so you don't think that's valid at all?
It's valid.
Because how many people you gonna meet that can handle that much? Because I don't think I can meet many.
The problem is that like it's not.
Go ahead.
Well, it sounds shitty for me to say this, but like I can live my life in a lot of different ways, right? I can be a single person and be okay. Like I can do a whole bunch of different
you
things.
told me on stream you really want someone to
I do.
come
It'd be
to.
nice, But like that, like there are a lot of things that would be nice, but it doesn't mean I'm willing to make a whole bunch of sacrifices. Like when you say you really want a person that like can be like blah blah blah, yeah, that's definitely true. But I don't want to sacrifice a whole bunch of shit to get that. Like I would much rather
that's
be
fair.
like, yeah, that's the thing.
So let me ask you: you don't think it's a reasonable compromise to say, listen, I'm not mad like a lot of the stuff that you do, but maybe these more unhinged types of people.
When you say reasonable compromise, you make it sound like there's like a set, like
Yeah.
it can be totally reasonable for somebody to say, I want to eat shit every single morning.
No.
I want to have shit. Yeah, if somebody wants to and they want to live alone, as long as they're not hurting anybody, they can do that. That's their life.
I
If
feel
they
like-
literally want to shit and eat it, that's go for it.
I
But
feel
it's
like
up
that
to...
compromise- I feel like that comparison's crazy. I think
No, it's not a crazy
It's
comparison
not
because
black
my
and
life
white.
is insane and I
Yeah, but
acknowledge
let's say-
that.
let's say-
And you're saying, is it reasonable for her? Because when you say reasonable, you're always testing her. Is it reasonable for her to say there are way too many crazy people in your life? You need to tone it the fuck down. That's super reasonable for her to say, 100%. But it's not reasonable to say that you're obligated to stay in this relationship for the rest of your life. So
No,
you have to change.
the-
It's also reasonable for me to say, like, yeah, maybe.
No,
but I think I
that's-
like the crazy shit. I'd
Like
rather
you
be
were saying
single,
that,
right?
yeah, like you have to find a balance of like what you think is good for you.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Is that what you're saying? That's what
I'm going DEFCON 5. What
That's
I'm
what
saying.
I'm saying.
What I'm
Another-
saying.
I don't.
Well,
like, I
Another
can't
relationship,
force
yeah,
anything.
counseling. Give it to me. What is that? Go ahead.
You're rolling your eyes. No, I think the difference between your example of like not eating shit and then saying like, hey, you have certain behaviors like on the extreme ends that if they were curtailed to some degree would make our cohesion a lot better. Not an obligation, but I think it's reasonable to expect that your partner would compromise to some degree
Sure.
in some areas in that. I'm not saying like
That's a reasonable expectation, yeah.
Yes, yes. And if you're saying like I wouldn't want to meet that, that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable for you to
Okay,
say
cool.
that. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I think it's reasonable to ask that. I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah,
Do you
I
think
agree.
so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, am I hearing this right?
Yeah, but when he
Or am
says I
projecting-
agree, Abba, it's like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's
No, I
reasonable,
agree because
but I'm not
Abba.
gonna
No,
do
no,
it.
no.
But I'm
I
not
agree with
gonna do
Abba
it.
because Abba is the only person so far that will acknowledge the other side. That is reasonable for me to say like, oh, I actually do like this, and I would choose that over like a relationship or something else.
Yes, but
But
like
it can be
okay,
the only
the
person.
example I'm going to be like I legitimately think Mr. Gross is like an unhinged person who like
For sure.
would go on a murder spree. Like
Potentially.
okay, when you invite somebody like that in your life,
Yeah.
like yeah, that would probably put a mental strain on a lot of people around you.
For
I think
sure.
For people to be like, yo, I would prefer if you weren't like bringing these people into all of our orbits. I think that's a reasonable thing. Like this dude, like serial killer vibes. Like I'm not joking when I say like I could see him rolling up here and like
Oh, for
murking
sure.
everybody. I
That's
really
why I
do
didn't
think
want-
that.
yeah.
And so you know,
That's why I got a key code outside the apartment. There's an elevator you need a car to get up into.
Okay,
and-
wait. So just to
Or-
clarify, go ahead, Abba. Do you want to say it?
I was gonna say, or you know, stay away from crazy people who might eat their girlfriends.
It's too sane. So here's my question, just so I'm not projecting. Are you saying you would rather have Max and Lav in your life than Melina?
Whoa, Jesus, when you make it
Whoa.
direct like that, but yes.
Yes, he's saying that.
But
Okay,
not like,
wait.
no, let me clarify
Let him
that.
clarify,
Hold on, because you're
let
talking
him
about marriage. It's not Max and Lav. It's the ability to have like those types of like insane interactions.
Okay, so you would rather have Max and Lav alikes
Yes.
than Melina.
Or than any partner that wouldn't be okay with that
Okay, so
type of craziness.
let me
Yes.
ask you this. Would you say you'd want to be able to keep these people in your life, but not maybe so close to them, or not keep them as
Like you
friends?
would turn it down to 80% still want.
Yeah, so like actually have the interaction with them on stream, but not bring them so close into your life where they're involved with your family and stuff like that.
Maybe. Depending on what those look
Wouldn't
like.
that
That's
be a
what you
more
have to
reasonable?
figure out.
I'm not saying don't interact with crazy people because it's good for entertainment and stream, but I think there's a difference between